And Sydney may mention to you, but she did ride recently in the World Icelandic Horse Championships in Berlin. She competed as a youth rider and did very well. A Canadian-bred horse also was over there showing it did well. It was Sydney's first time in that world class, and I'm sure we'll see her back. So we'll turn the ring over to the Icelandic horse and Sydney Horas.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Sydney Horas. I'm 19 years old, and me and my family own On Ice Horse Farm located in Caledon, Ontario. Together we breed, train, instruct with Icelandic horses, located just about 45 minutes north of Toronto here. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I've been riding horses since I was about 4 years old, Icelandic specifically, but I also did venture into jumping for about 2 years and dressage for about 2 years, all the while riding Icelandic horses on the side. About 7 years ago, I decided to really get involved with the Icelandic horses, and I started traveling. I went to the US, to Europe, and then just recently to Iceland as well, where I've enhanced my learning with this breed in particular. The horse that I brought with me today is Stjarni. He is a 12-year-old Icelandic gelding. He is Canadian born. He was born in New Brunswick, and he came to our farm about 2 years ago. The color that he is a chestnut with a flaxen mane, and actually the reason his name is Stjarni is because he has a star on his forehead. I don't know if his mane is split here, but I'll just show you guys over here. He's got a nice white star, so that's why his name is Stjarni. I'll show you guys as well. So he's got a big white star on his forehead, and that's where his name comes from. We typically like to name our Icelandic horses based on physical or mental characteristics that they have, so their names often mean something to us as breeders and to the horse as well. I'll just tell you a little bit about the Icelandic horse before showing you some of their special gaits. Just give him a second to warm up here. The Icelandic horse is a gaited breed, meaning that besides the typical gaits of walk, trot, and canter, he also has 2 extra gaits. So the first gait is called tolt. It's a 4-beated gait, meaning that the horse has the exact same footfall as he does here in walk, this 1, 2, 3, 4, except that he can get up to about 30 kilometers an hour in this. So he can get going pretty quickly. But the fact that he has no suspension, meaning that he always has at least 1 foot on the ground, creates no bounce, which is wonderful for people that wish to go on long trail rides or have problems, or even children that would like that 1 step in between walk and trot. It gives them a nice chance to build up confidence before they go into trot. One of the things that makes the Icelandic horse different than other gaited breeds is the fact that they do trot and canter just the same as every other 3-gaited horse. So I'm not limited with my horse just because my horse is a gaited horse. I can still do anything that, any dressage competitions or classes. I can still do any jumping competition or classes. And because my horse is technically a pony, so the queen says, I can also go into pony clubs. So I really can venture into any form or discipline that I wish. So I'll just show you a little bit of his special gait. So this is the tolt. You can see that my horse is moving, even though I'm not. I do have a little bit of movement front and back with my hips. Of course, I can't be perfectly still, but you can see it's much smoother and much easier to sit. The nice thing about this gait is that I can go slow if I want. So this would be considered slow. I can go a little bit slower here. But this would be considered a fairly slow speed tolt. And then I can also speed him up a little bit. Obviously, I can't get going quite fast enough in here, but I can get going a little bit. So you can see how this horse can easily get up to 30 kilometers an hour, and I would not have to move, really. One of the nice things is that the temperament of the Icelandic horse. Oftentimes people will ask, or I'll show you here, this is trot. So you can see my Icelandic horse trots just the same as every other breed of horse trots. It's a 2-beat diagonal gait. I can choose to post or sit depending on how lazy I want to be. Which is great for equitation classes. The temperament of the Icelandic horse is really from the island itself. For those of you that don't know, Iceland is very beautiful, but it's a very harsh land. So the Icelandic horse, in order to survive in Iceland, had to really adapt and evolve. They are originally come from Mongolia and the Mongolian horse. And then the Vikings brought their best horses to Iceland, where they were originally a mixed breed. So Mongolian horse and whatever the Vikings had as their best horse. Then they've been isolated there for thousands of years and has become the Icelandic horse. So the Icelandic horse is now considered to be the purest breed in the world, having been isolated on this island for thousands of years. One of the interesting things about Iceland is that their largest predator is actually the Arctic fox. So for those of you that don't know, the Arctic fox is probably about the size of your house cat. So it's really not that scary for an Icelandic horse. Obviously they are still a horse, so they still do have prey instincts, but they're much more recessive because they're not aware that they're supposed to be afraid of the things, as Iceland doesn't have anything for them to be afraid of. I've also come to learn that that gives the horse much more respect for humans. They believe that we are the highest on the chain as they know nothing higher than us. So, whereas your other horse may get afraid thinking that something's going to eat them, for the Icelandic horse, really we're the only thing that they think can eat them. So they approach things with curiosity over fear, which makes wonderful trail horses, riding horses, they're just a pleasure to deal with. I'll show you just how easy it is for me to switch between gaits here so you can see how natural it is for the horse. Obviously my horse is quite well trained, but most Icelandic horses start out this easy. So right now I'm trotting, and then, now we're tilting. So he's anticipating, I've done this a few times now. So now we're tilting, and I'll bring him back into trot, and now we're trotting again. And I'll show you on this side here. Now I'm tilting. So it's a simple form of collection. Tilt is the ultimate collection. I'm driving my horse from behind and I'm keeping him back in the front. Very lightly, but it is just a little bit of collection. And then when I want him to trot, I'm slowing him down a little bit, but I'm tilting my pelvis a little bit forward and driving him forwards, and now he's in trot again. So I'll show you just a little bit of canter as well. Unfortunately, I cannot show you the fifth gait, which is flying pace, as we don't have quite enough room in here to show it to you. But I'll do some canter here. So you can see my horse canters here. Yeah, I'm just getting a little bit pacey now, but there we go. So he canters just the same as every other horse canters, with the jump in the front. It's a 3-beated movement, and then I can bring him back into tilt. So the separation of the gaits is really quite wonderful with the Icelandic. I have all of the options of basically every horse breed in the world. One of the other questions is colors. What colors do the Icelandic horse come in? And the answer is every color in the world except for Appaloosa. So Appaloosa is a breed of horse, and that's why Icelandics don't come in Appaloosa. But any color that you can think of, they come in it. Black, white, pinto, roan, dun, every color. So colors are preference for you. You can be sure to get it in an Icelandic horse. If anybody has any questions or anything they'd like to see, anything they'd like to know. Yep, we got one over here. Great question, thank you very much. The question is, why is he considered a horse and not a pony? And the reason he's considered a horse is because of the amount of weight that he can carry. The Icelandic horse has several qualities that make them much stronger than an average horse this size. The first one is that it's proven that the Icelandic horse's bone density is thicker than average horses. So they physically have thicker bones. And the next thing is the shortness of the back. The Icelandic horse has a fairly short back in comparison to their size, and that's also to help accommodate the weight. So that's why we consider them to be horses, because adults and children alike can ride them. There's no weight restriction for them. Whereas when you think of a pony, you think that you're going to grow out of it eventually. And of course, the Queen does consider this size a pony though. So he is 14 hands, and 14.2 is the cutoff. So he is considered a pony technically, but we consider the breed to be a horse because of the amount of weight that they can carry. Are there any more questions that anybody has about him, or me, or the Icelandic horse in general? Yes? What's on his feet? Another great question, thank you very much. He has boots on his feet. They are weighted. They weigh about 200 grams, so I'm sure you can imagine for a horse, 200 grams is nothing. But basically, the reason I put the boots on him is so that it's easier for you guys to follow his feet. So it's easier for you to follow the white on the front feet than it is if all of his feet were just black. And we do the same thing when we're showing, and that's so that the judges can see their front feet a little bit better. So that's why we put the weight on there. It's really like 200 grams is not going to affect them. It's another thing, people often ask, do we manipulate our horses to make them lift up their front feet? Because often Icelandics have fairly high stepping and high movement in the front. And the answer is no. The Icelandic horse world is very, very, very strict about training methods. And you are not allowed to put more than 240 grams on in the front for showing. And actually, if you're showing your horse and it looks too manipulate manual, it looks like the horse has been manipulated to do it, you will be disqualified. So there is no point in manipulating the horse because you won't be able to show them anyway, so the point of it was lost on that. So everything that they have is all natural, and we try to keep it that way. I didn't talk to you about the number of horses, I just remembered that now. So there's only 300,000 Icelandic horses in the entire world. So to put that in perspective for you, King Township, which is the township right next to Caledon, has 300,000 horses in it. So one township in Ontario has as many horses as there are of this horse in the world. 2,500 of those horses are in Canada, and there's about 100,000 in Iceland. There's about 100,000 of them in Iceland. Sorry? Oh, okay. 100,000 of them in Iceland and 80,000 of them in Germany. So they're very rare. I'll just answer this question over here quickly. Sorry. How much does the horse weigh? He weighs a lot more than you would think he does. This horse actually weighs about 800 or 900 pounds. So he's pretty thick. You would think he would probably weigh a lot less than that. And he's not even really chubby. He's a solid horse. So thank you very much. I'll just maybe see if I can get him to go a little faster on the way out. And if you have any questions, please come visit me over at the booth. You can meet Stjarni. He loves people.
Thank you so much, Sydney and Stjarni. And out of the ring out and over to the stalls if you'd like to learn more about the Icelandic horse.